John Butterworth works as a leadership educator at McGill and has been involved in theater and improvisation as a performer, teacher, and writer. She was active in the Montreal underground theater scene for many years and taught improvisation at Dawson's professional theater program. She led improvisation workshops for actors and non-actors in NDG and in the Montreal community. She joined the Benny Library creative writing workshops led by Larissa Andreessen before the pandemic. This has happily resulted in being a part of today's Benny Library creative writing collective.
This started with a writing group one morning with Kathleen and another friend, and we had a writing prompt around somehow or other it ended up being like about a piece of clothing that we loved as a kid. And so this is the start of mine. It's called My Yellow Happy Bikini. Yellow bikini bottoms, canary yellow with a rainbow colored belt going through little belt loops. This was my new bathing suit bottom. I had my first new bikini and I was happy as a lark. My mother had decided just to splurge and buy me a new bathing suit in Kennebunkport for our vacation by the sea. The top was rainbow colored and had the same canary yellow as the bottoms in it, as well as these clever frills across it. My child's body, my tan, my long silky stringy hair, I was a movie star in that bikini. The warm sand and the sun, the sound of the seagulls and the waves crashing and rolling in, my brown feet running into the cold Atlantic Ocean. I was a magnificent creature in a perfect world of 7 or 8 years old. We were staying at the Atlantic House in Maine that year thanks to my grandmother's help. It was a grand old big hotel with vast lawns, a proper dining room, and a community cottage on the grounds for rainy days and special events. I had won $100 at bingo in that community cottage one evening and was deemed lucky by my family, especially my mother, from that point forward. There were also several lovely rambling cottages on the grounds of this place called the Atlantic House for those families who wanted a more rustic setting. We had one of those cottages for a magical week or two, and I could dream up adventures involving pirates and buried treasures, mermaids and riding dolphins as I fell asleep to the sound of the waves crashing on the shores. However, this cottage meant my mother, unlike the other mothers who stayed at the hotel, would be cooking, cleaning, and buying all the groceries for most of our summer vacation for the 5 of us. Maine was a 6 to 8 hour drive from our farm in the eastern townships when I was a child in the 1970s, depending on how many stops we had to make along the way in our station wagon. If my sister, brother, and I were good and didn't whine or fight, it was a shorter drive. Our family were the struggling poor country cousins, as my father had opted to buy an apple farm a few years ago and had left behind city life along with the upper middle class privileges of networks and money-making opportunities. My father's brother and sister were still living in Montreal in Westmount. They would dash out to their country homes, which were close by to ours. Our one home, our apple farm. That was where we were finding out each year if we had a good crop or not. The summer vacation meant a little escape from our precarious apple crop. On the beaches each day there would be a picnic with blankets, umbrellas, beach chairs, and beach balls strewn up and down the white sands. Some families had more elaborate setups with tents and big colorful coolers, deluxe chairs, and even beach tennis sets. The smell of coconut suntan oil would waft along on the sea breeze. There were sunburns and zinc-covered noses to deep tans everywhere. You'd catch people checking to see how tanned they were by revealing the white skin under the protection of bikinis or bathing suits. My sister, brother, and I would use our styrofoam surfboards in the waves for hours, observing the bigger, fancier ones that some other kids clung to near us. In my best and first bikini suit ever, I was ready to play at the beach. The constant salty sea breeze flew over my body, through my hair. The day was one of those hot summer days with the sun beating down, great fluffy clouds, squawking cries of seagulls, and hot white sand. A group of girls around my age somehow drew together as the afternoon stretched out before us. It was decided to play and have our very own fashion show. Around a dozen girls, some who were already friends and had come from well-off neighborhoods in the Boston area, collected a spot on the warm sands and decided on a runway that went from the dune and the dune grasses toward the cold Atlantic Ocean. Even though I knew no one, I was the lone Canadian from Quebec. I was invited into the game. Maybe my bikini was that impressive. Some of the girls were the ones in charge and got our parameters organized to some degree. We had to sit on either side of the runway until it was our turn to go. And we had to cheer whoever was walking along as they did their best fashion show modeling. And then, oh yes, there would be judging. We were all figured out with some kind of order. One of us at a time would walk down through the hot, deep sand between the two rows of girls who were all part of this fabulous show. There were 2 or 3 girls, the judges, who would call out a score like, "Wow," or "Good," or "You walk too slow." Each girl who went, I was near the end, did okay, and I had to take a note of what was missing from the promenades. When my turn came, I rose up with my "Hello, Dolly" towel tied around my neck and gave it my best clowning act to make this an even better game. I walked with a loosey-goosey sashaying, head nodding back and forth in time with my hips down the center with great assurance that they would exclaim over my performance. "Could you not be so bouncy?" one of the judges said. "Yeah," agreed a judge in a pink bikini with bright daisies. "Don't move your head so much." "Less silly next time," someone else piped in. I sat down in the sand. As the walks continued, each contestant sought to be the most sublime model. None of them were all that great from my perspective. They were all doing an okay, regular job of modeling. As the youngest in my family, I knew how to invoke laughter into the mix, especially when there was no fun in evidence. When it was my turn again, I tried my same kind of a performance with some added hair flips and grins to the audience and the sky. My score came back again with a critique of being too silly. "Stop making fun of the fashion show," quipped the pink bikini girl this time. My third try with a defiantly cheeky sashay down the sandy aisle. This time, the pink bikini judge started wagging her finger at me, saying, "No, no, no, no." Then it happened. "You can't play with us anymore if you aren't going to be serious." I sat back down in the warm sand and considered this, especially given their taunting, bossy tone. My turn again. I did it again. And I sashayed all the way, my towel cape blowing behind me in the ocean breeze. I knew that they should know how brilliant it could be to have more fun and silliness and charged ahead. They had one more chance. "You have to leave, you can't play anymore." The judge in the pink bikini half shouted at me, the others stared at me. Slowly, I obediently rose to walk away. "Who do you think you are? You have no idea how to have fun. I know how to have fun, and you just missed out on having a way funner time." I wanted to shout all of this at the girls. I wanted them to laugh and have fun and make this fun and turn the competition for top model into something much better. I knew bringing fun could be like a little rescue mission. I accepted this defeat, but was still quite impressed by how much fun it had been to clown around. Very impressed by my hamming abilities, even if no one else was. I wandered off alone and plopped into the sand a little distance away. My first public fall from grace that was actually a tumbling crash into grace. So whoever you may be, dearest jokers and clowns and comedic voices here today, keep your head high, and may you bring your own version of the happy yellow bikini wherever you go. The end.